What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another LEGO YouTube video. It's officially been over a year since I started documenting my LEGO collection on YouTube, and it's crazy how fast the time flies. It's very corny to say, but it really does feel like just yesterday when I was recording my first ever YouTube video, and I'm really happy that I've had YouTube as this kind of platform to document my LEGO collection, because it gives me the opportunity that a lot of people don't have to literally go back in time and just see how much your LEGO collection has evolved. And that's exactly what we're going to do in today's video. So I thought that'd be a fun idea. We're going to be joined by my cat Ruby today, who I actually did not have a year ago. But anyway, let's just go ahead and start comparing. This is what my dresser setup looked like a year ago. So not like the most different display, but when we compare it to today, you can see the Avengers Tower is of course brand new, and then we kind of swapped around a couple buildings too, just because of the Avengers Tower. There's obviously a bunch of like new minifigures over here too, and the buildings have kind of changed their layout quite a bit over here. We don't have Assembly Square up here anymore, or the other half of the pet shop, so that's kind of crazy. And also what's even crazier is looking at my modular display from a year ago, and then comparing it to how it is now. Back then, I hardly had any modular buildings whatsoever. I literally only had, I think, like 4 or 5, I think I can count from this, which is still a decent bit to have. But when you compare it to how my LEGO city looks today, for one thing, the shelf is a lot longer and actually extends the entire duration of the wall. Previously, I think it only like met about to the closet door over here. And then we've also expanded even further where we can see Diagon Alley, and then we've also added these other shelves over here, which is just crazy. And I can't believe how many modulars I added to it. Like, for example, the first one was like the Palace Cinema, and then we got a bunch of other ones too, like the museum and the Grand Emporium, I think, just to name a few. I think that's everything, but I could be missing something. I think those are the big 3 that have changed. The other big change is, of course, the Harry Potter collection and Diagon Alley, and of course these 2 shelves over here that kind of make this like big corner over here. It used to not be like this. We added the Lion Knight's Castle and a bunch of other cool things to this shelf over here, but like a year ago, here's what it looked like, and the Halloween shelf is actually mostly the same. Literally the only difference, I think, is that we have the Hocus Pocus set inside of the display now, and obviously we didn't have that a year ago because it didn't come out, but like excuse me, you can kind of see like today how it like looks so similar, except just Hocus Pocus is there, and then it of course kind of blends us into the rest of the Harry Potter collection over here. So I guess Don't Fix What's Not Broken and the Halloween display was really cool. Below it, I've got Home Alone, and from a year ago, this is kind of similar. We've got the Home Alone house still on the corner over here, which is kind of similar to where it was today. And we've got the T2 camper van, except today we now have the Beatles Yellow Submarine in the background. And what I've also done is I've kind of like centered the Home Alone set, and we added the medieval markets to this shelf. And then we also added the Lion Knight's Castle to it as well. So new shelf, and then we also kind of finished up the empty space over here. Above it, this shelf is entirely new compared to last year, and it's got the bottom half of Gringotts, as well as just some random LEGO sets too. The Clone Wars poster that's on my closet right now, I think used to be over here a year ago, and so also at the very top, we of course have the entire Diagon Alley display, as well as all of the Hogwarts banners too, and the upper half of the Gringotts Bank, which is much better than just having a poster over here and a lot of empty wall space. So really happy with how that turned out, I would say. It's just so weird to like actually look back a year ago and just see how empty this is. It's just crazy to look at this and just be like, dang, that has really changed a lot. Looking at my desk setup from a year ago, it's also vastly different too. We've got like a few other LEGO sets on here. We only have 2 shadow boxes as opposed to the 4, and they're the Star Wars ones, and the Tanith 4 is also up here. And the minifigure selection inside of these is vastly different too. We only had 3 minifigure like extra bins over here too, so I vastly expanded my minifigure collection, I would say, in a year. So that's kind of normal though, because at the time I still had a LEGO TikTok where I'd do the minifigure videos, but now we have 4 shadow boxes, and we also have a bunch of Funko Pops on top of here too, as well as just a few other gifts that I've decided to put on top of the shadow boxes. But the other big difference is that they're superhero shadow boxes. And then we've also got these new posters off to the side here too, but like, again, these are superhero shadow boxes, and what's also crazy with this is I kind of like further expanded the superhero shadow boxes that I think I showed off later on in like last year's collection video, but the Star Wars guys are over here now, and instead of having just 2, I have 3, and a Harry Potter shadow box, which is Kind of crazy, literally doubling our real estate there, I guess. And then we've also got this entirely new table, or I guess it's not entirely new, I still had this about a year ago, but it's over here now, and it's where my droids are sitting, and I've also got my storage head down there, which I did not have a year ago in the last collection tour too, so funny to see how that's evolved. This is where it really gets crazy, is taking a look at my old Star Wars section with the poster and just seeing how little there is over here, and also considering that this is not a superhero area. I forgot that I kind of like flipped those around, and the Star Wars poster is now on my front door, instead of being over there to kind of save some shelf space. But seeing as I was looking at the Star Wars collection from a year ago, let's just go ahead and compare how much the Star Wars collection has changed. Apart from like being completely flipped around on the other side of the room, there's some very obvious new additions. But first off, from a year ago, you can kind of see it's kind of looks pretty similar. There's a few subtle differences. Some sets are displayed differently, and we've got like the Hoth sets up here too. The Y-Wing stand is completely different, but this time around, we've got way more sets posed here, and I feel like I really used my display space a lot better than I did about a year ago, and I'm really happy with all of the design choices. Also, it is way bigger too. I expanded the shelf to meet all the way to my door, which is pretty cool, and a year ago, I had my Ewok Village kind of on the top of my bookshelf, and then I also had like the little Death Star gifts of purchase by it, and then we had the Bo-Katan helmet, which was kind of crazy, like not Lego stuff, because like I really did not have that many sets. I did, but like not as many as I have now. And then like when we take a look at the bookshelf, we've got some cool display pieces. Like I think looking back, a lot of these displays were really cool, and I'm very happy with them, but I think I'm definitely more happy with the displays I have today. But like this Jabba's Palace display is pretty cool, though I feel like I definitely prefer the one I have in my collection today. This Mandalorian display is kind of different from what I've got to now, because now I have like the Dark Trooper Attack and the other set with it, and then we've got like our dioramas down here, which was a cool display idea, and then we've got like more of the dioramas down here, and you can see we actually still had the old Death Star Final Duel on display over here, and this bottom shelf was kind of messy. I had the Inquisitor, Transport Siphon, the Kenobi Duel. Wasn't very happy with those, and then the top kind of just has empty space over here, and this shelf is pretty cool. It's actually very similar to what I have now, with the kind of dark side display, except I don't have Mustafar on the shelf anymore, and I like the ship display stands I have now a lot better. Below it, we've got lots actually of empty space, because I didn't have the Clone Turbo Tank yet, and then this was kind of like my big Starfighter display, and I think it looks pretty cool, but I like having the Grievous one with the other dark side ships. I feel like that makes a lot more sense, and I like having the Bad Batch shuttle with the Mandalorian one, kind of giving off the Season 7 to Clone Wars vibes. This is a really cool shelf that I kind of miss with all the droids, but one big change though, when we look at today's LEGO collection, the Ewok Village has its own kind of designated shelf, and I think that perfectly fits it. I love how it's really high up, so it looks really impressive. And then also what's new, we have the UCS sets on top of here instead of the Ewok Village. So we've got the Gunship and the Venator, as well as the Invisible Hand, but that's kind of like not UCS, it's like MIDI scale, but entirely new display over there. And then when we take a look at the bookshelves, you can definitely tell there's been some involvements here and there, and I'm really happy with what I have now. I think I can really look back and admire how the previous kind of like past display looked, but I'm very happy with the one we have now. And my old Cantina display, I actually displayed it opened up like this, and there's a lot more free space over here because I only had the Cantina set over here, and I like how clean it looks, but I definitely prefer how it looks today. I like the pod race and diorama, and I feel like just the closed look of the Cantina just looks way better, I feel like, than it being opened up. Opened up, you can see a lot of the cool interior details that are normally hidden, but it just looks so much more impressive and natural like this, I feel like. Also, what was not here about a year ago was the helmet shelf, and I really like how this looks. A year ago, it's kind of crazy to look back, it was actually on this shelf where my droids are, and then I kind of split the helmets with my LEGO Nintendo display, which I forgot I had them displayed like this. And then also a year ago, I did not have these art pieces in my LEGO collection, so those were really fun. And then I also didn't have this huge UCS wall over here. The first one I got was the UCS Falcon, but a year ago I didn't have that. So, and then also my Brickheads display moved over here too. I think a year ago I had them on this nightstand. It's kind of funny, this is the old color before I painted it, but I had these old Brickhead display stands on it, and now this is what my nightstand looks like. And it's definitely a lot less of a nightstand and more of just a LEGO display. It's where I put my Mario stuff now, and my Mario stuff a year ago was kind of with the Star Wars stuff. Didn't really have the best spot in the LEGO collection. I think it still looked nice, but it was just kind of random and thrown in there. But I do still think it looked cool for the time, and I liked having the pixel art above it. That was pretty cool. But now let's go ahead and take a look at how the superhero collection has evolved. I feel like this is really where we took a step forward. I want to say the Star Wars collection definitely too, but also with the superheroes. First off, a year ago, this is what my Guardians of the Galaxy shelf looked like, and, you know, pretty similar. Like, not anything too crazy. Like, you can't really notice any huge differences, I feel like. But when you look at it today, we can see like the Star-Lord helmet. We've got the Groot set and the Baby Groot brick head, as well as the Baby Rocket ship. And we kind of displayed a few other UCS Marvel sets up here too. Previously, I think it was only Guardians of the Galaxy themed, I want to say. And below it, I had my UCS Hulkbuster over here, and then just some empty space. But one of the displays that's actually remained relatively consistent, I feel like, to this day, is my Iron Man shelf. It has my Iron Man Hall of Armor, which has actually remained the exact same over a year, as well as like the rest of the shelf, which is kind of funny. If it's not broke, don't fix it, I guess. And then below it, we had my old Infinity War / Endgame display, and this looks really cool, but I definitely prefer the one I have now. And then you can really see how it's changed with the Spider-Man shelf, how I've kind of just got the Eternals thrown in there, which didn't really make sense. I'm a lot happier with what I've got now. And then you can kind of see only Series 1 of the Marvel CMFs is down here, because we didn't have Series 2 yet, which is kind of weird. And I've got this like random shelf down here, and then we've got my Lego books over here too. So it really is crazy how much has changed. And we literally have like the Batmobile displayed next to the Hulkbuster, which makes no sense. And then I've got my Tumblr display, which for a while was actually pretty consistent with what I had, but I did recently change it up. And then we've got my Batcave display and my classic Batman minifigures. And I recently changed this up too. For a while, this was pretty consistent with what I had about a year ago. And below this shelf is actually the exact same. I still have the Arkham Asylum and the Dynamic Duo Funhouse Escape in my current setup. This shelf is a bit different. I don't really have these sets highlighted as much as I should, and we've just got empty space down here, which is kind of crazy. I don't really have any empty space anymore, which I guess is a good thing. And then we've got the Batwing hanging up on the opposite side of the room, and I kind of had it on that little nightstand over there. And today, the Batman collection looks a lot different. I really like it, though. I've got the new Batcave Shadow Box that came out last year, and we've got like some other sets too. We added the Jim Lee Batman art, and then I did hang up my CMF display case, and then we've also got the Starry Night, and the Batwing is moved over here now. We've got the Dark Knight Trilogy display over here too, and there's a few like subtle changes here and there. Like this Justice League shelf is vastly different from last year. I added some new sets to the collection too, but like again, like I said earlier, the Iron Man shelf exactly the same. The Spider-Man shelf has evolved though, because we got the 2 dioramas, and I also added the Venom head to my collection. And then we've got the new X-Jet. My Infinity War display kind of evolved a bit with the new diorama that came out, I think it was last August. And then we've got Series 1 and Series 2 of the Marvel CMFs. And then over here, we can kind of see we had that old TV stand, which really didn't look the best. I really like how things look now. Like, that's crazy how much more Lego is over here. And I really love the display that I have today, and a lot more. It really blends in. This kind of brown nightstand was, or not really nightstand, but TV cabinet was like a family heirloom. And I finally got to get rid of it, and by get rid of it, I mean put it in our dining room, so I got to like expand the collection a bit. But like, crazy to think the only set that was on this wall was Ninjago City Gardens, and today it is definitely not the only set on the entire area over here. And here's a look at kind of my shadow boxes that I had from back then. The DC ones are kind of the same, but the Marvel one is where it really changed, because I kind of branched out and expanded to be superheroes and supervillains. And then this is where I used to put the sitcom sets too, was on this little TV cabinet. And then we've got my consoles down here too, so not much has changed down there. Today, I've just got the Office Lego set, and my Amiibos are now able to be displayed, and I have a much bigger TV, which is definitely a perk. And then I've got more shelves behind it too, which fit way more Lego sets. Like, for example, we've got like Ninjago City Markets, which was definitely a big expansion. We've got the Bo-Katan art. We've also got the Great Wave, but I'll show that in a second. And then we've got like other cool sets like the Tranquil Garden. We've still got Ninjago Gardens. There's the Great Wave in a kind of like better spotlight. And then we've got Ninjago City Markets over here too, which definitely blends in really well with the gardens. And then we've also, of course, got the Dragonstone Shrine, which I got back in March, which is a really cool set. Honestly, I forgot about it though. And then we've got the Bonsai Tree down here too, as well as 4 shadow boxes on here instead of just the regular 3. The new one was the Harry Potter shadow box, and then I already went over the Star Wars stuff. We've got our anniversary figures over here too, and then also at the very top we were able to put some new sets up too. One thing that's stayed the same is the position of the Star Wars rug. That is consistent from year to year, so one of the few things that has stayed consistent. Looking at my closet, I used to have the Tears of the Kingdom art print over here, and then inside of my closet it was a very different setup. My CMF display was kind of hidden, and then I had a bunch of other hidden Lego sets inside of here, like the Big Ben, and this is where I used to keep my boxes idle, not less back then than I do now. I also kept my storage displays inside of here too, like the pieces, and now I actually use my closet as a closet, which is kind of crazy. So very happy I made that decision. And I've got like all my Lego pieces beneath my desk, which I kind of liked having them in the closet, but I prefer actually being able to have a closet now. So yeah, you gotta make some sacrifices, I guess. But like, here's the 360 of my room from a year ago, and this is just bizarre how different it looks. It's so cliche to say, but like, there's just so much empty space and just so many sets that I don't have in this setup that I do now. It's just wild to kind of look at like where the Lego collection is today. It's like vastly improved. It's probably like tripled, probably even like quadrupled in size. That's probably being a bit ambitious, but it's crazy how much it has grown. Like, literally you can see it like right here, just how much wall space is taken up as compared to a year ago. You can see a lot less blue and a lot more Lego, which I think is a good problem to have, I think. So also, just for fun, this is the first time I ever documented my modern Lego collection. This is from 3 years ago, my first ever collection tour that I did on TikTok, and this is even more different. So I thought it'd be fun to just take it a step further and 3 years back, seeing how the Lego collection looks. And the minifigure shadow boxes are definitely a bit different, but one thing you'll notice is it's not really a Lego room as much as it is a bedroom now. Like, it was definitely much more of a bedroom back then, but now it is definitely a Lego room. I had like very few Lego sets, I want to say. And then here's one also from 3 years back, but slightly evolved. The big kind of like change that I had here was I added more minifigures to the shadow boxes, but like, that's not really the most noticeable thing. This was like the first time I actually hung shelves up on the wall, and I got some cool lighting up in here. These were my old shelves, which I don't really recommend because they just did not hold that much. They looked cool, but just didn't hold that much and weren't the most efficient for the size. But kind of crazy to see how much has changed in 3 years, how much it's evolved. So yeah, I guess I'm feeling very nostalgic after recording all of this. It's really cool to kind of see how everything evolves though, but kind of crazy. So definitely let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments. I feel like I didn't really realize just how much Lego I've bought in the past year until making this. I mean, obviously I did, but this just really shines a spotlight on it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my channel over the past year. I really appreciate all of y'all's support. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, but that's all for today. Peace out.